What's going on, guys? This is your boy Kanal, aka Black Man Travels. What? Happy Wednesday or happy Thursday within the next couple of hours. Just wanted to go ahead and have this live stream to talk about an interesting topic. This topic is very dear to me because it's something that I've been around for over 10 years. Yeah, 10 years been doing this, and I could definitely speak on some of the experiences that I had as a digital nomad, as a remote worker. So, as of lately, a lot of companies have been forcing the back to the office mandates. I'm not sure if some of you guys may not heard of it, but a lot of companies want your ass back in the office. Yes, they want you back in the office. They feel like now um, things are back to normal. And as a result, we want you to come back in office. So we have companies such as Amazon, Google, JP Morgan, Chase, Meta, and other top 500, top 100 companies demanding their employees to bring their ass back to work into the office or they're fired. Now, guys, I think within the past several years, it's been more than 3-4 years, a lot of people have benefited the whole benefited from the remote work lifestyle, having the opportunity to do your job in the comfort of your home. But to some of us, we've been doing remote work for over 10 years. My first exposure to working remotely and just having the privilege to actually not report to the office unless it was like a conference meeting or something along those lines was started back in 2009. Yes, I started working remotely back in 2009. Again, this is very new to a lot of companies, but granted, I had a unique skill set at the time that actually separated myself from other people. So having this particular skill set gave me the opportunity to work with some of the amazing, great companies such as Dell, Verizon, Allstate, Deloitte Consulting Group. And working remotely just really put myself in a position where I could actually be in another place while I'm working. Now, granted, back in 2010, 2012, 2015, it was still the Wild West when it comes to remote working. Basically, what they used to do, they should send you your laptop. You had your assignment. And granted, these were all contract jobs that I was working on. And I'm not sure if a lot of you guys are new when it comes to contract working. Working as a contractor has its benefits. One thing is just you get paid a whole lot more. My very first contract back in 2010, I was making $60 an hour. Now, granted, that was a lot of money because I was like, man, I'm getting paid $60 an hour. But this bad part of it, I didn't get 401k. I didn't get any benefits. So I strictly got a high hourly rate. Now, granted, that was my first remote contract job. Up to my recently contract job where I was making over $100 an hour. So having the opportunity to work remotely gave me the chance to live overseas for quite a while. And I mean, granted, I spent a couple of months in different countries, and especially during the pandemic. The pandemic definitely gave me an opportunity to work remotely even more, where I was working out of Colombia, I was working out of Brazil, working out of Dominican Republic, even from Thailand. I did a couple of things in Thailand while I was out there. But it gave me a renowned outlook in how you could work remotely, still get the job done while getting paid. Now, within the past couple of years, companies have been putting a lot of stuff into motions where they wanted to track where their employees are. So they started installing certain softwares within your laptop, and those software actually will dictate where you are, what you're doing. So the days of actually guys getting that remote job and jumping on a plane to go work in another country started to slow down because companies wanted you, hey, you know what? If you're going to work remotely, we want you to stay within the United States. They had to put that in their company policy because at one point, again, this is back in the Wild Wild West of 2010 through 2016 of remote working. A lot of people used to get their jobs and fly out to Panama, fly out to Costa Rica, fly out to Medellin, fly out to Santo Domingo. And these were people who were actually making a killing working remotely while living in these countries. So a lot of companies started installing certain software to track where you are. And they started making it clear that, hey, you know what? You're only allowed to work within the United States. Yes. They made that perfectly clear that you're only allowed to work within the United States. Now, certain companies will allow you to work overseas as long as it does not impact your daily responsibilities. Now, guys, again, I've been doing this since 2009, and I've met a lot of people who are making a lot of money while living in these countries. Even during the pandemic, when people had 2 contract jobs, when I mean contract jobs making 75, 80, 90, $200 an hour while working in another country. They got so serious about working remotely where countries were creating digital nomad visas. Now, a lot of countries have a unique visa strictly for digital nomads where they want you to go to their country and work there. But again, when I was doing it, this is before anyone knew what is a digital nomad. We just had our laptop and we just went. We just disappeared. But again, we still actually got our job done. And one thing to keep in mind when you're working remotely, especially as a digital nomad, the jobs that I'm talking about well-paying 6 figures, high hourly rate jobs. There are people out there right now that are selling you remote job lists for customer service, data entry roles. Dude, do not buy a remote job list from anybody. I don't care who they are. If someone's selling you a remote job list, run. Because you can simply go onto LinkedIn or Indeed and actually see all the remote jobs. Now, there are a variety of different websites that caters to remote jobs. So if anyone is selling you a remote job list for $50 or more, please do not buy that list. You can strictly just do your Google. Jump on Google, look up different job sites that's catering strictly to remote jobs. There's tons of them. And now you could actually work from from anywhere. Just get the company permission before you do that. I have one interesting story to share. This is during the pandemic. My boy got a big time project manager job, getting paid $85 an hour. He got the contract. He turned around and went back to Santo Domingo. And within 2 weeks of him working, he was let go. And the reason why he was let go, he took his laptop outside the U.S. And I believe there's a certain clause within the employee manual that you were not allowed to do that. So he literally lost $85 an hour remote job by simply just jumping on a plane, going to Santo Domingo, trying to work from there. I've seen guys lose their contract jobs, even full-time jobs, trying to live a double life. They're trying to go out there and to these countries, trying to live a life that, hey, you still got to work your 9 to 5, even though you're in a different time zone, you still have to work. People throwing parties, they doing a live stream with their coworkers. There's activities going on behind them, noise. There's things people fail to realize that even though you're working remote, you still have to work, and especially if you're working in another country. Some of the issues that I had experiencing as a digital nomad was working out of Dominican Republic. That was one of the worst places that I worked remotely. Again, much love to Dominican Republic, but as far as working remotely at the time, again, this is back during the Wild Wild West where blackouts were very common. I would be on a live stream conference call and my internet will stop. It's a blackout midday. And there's nothing I could do. I can't jump online. I can't do anything. So literally I have to explain to my boss that, hey, listen, I lost power. And this was happening almost every day, to the point where I had to say, you know what, fuck it, I got to come back to the States. So again, this is during the Wild Wild West from the 2010 through 2016-17 era of working remotely. A lot of us were in different countries. A lot of us were doing quite well, but a lot of us were doing our jobs. We've seen a lot of people come into this space, wanting to become a digital nomad, working remote from another country, but they were not disciplined enough to stay focused on the job. So they end up losing their contract or end up losing their jobs. I've seen countless of men lose their jobs because of this. But the good thing is about it, the infrastructure has improved in so many ways across different countries where you could actually work remotely without experiencing any issues. And during the pandemic, actually created that opportunity for a lot of people to experience from working from home. And working from home is amazing. Having an opportunity for you to still get your job done, but yet not deal with traffic, not spending extra money on gas, food for lunch, and everything else. Actually, people were more productive during the COVID, during the pandemic, especially versus when they're in the office. There were countless of studies that shows that people are more productive working from home versus if they were working in the office, because guess what? They utilize their time accordingly. However, a lot of companies didn't feel that way. They felt like, you know what, the fact that I cannot physically see you, I feel like you're not doing your job. So that was the impression that a lot of companies were thinking of remote workers. And that's not the case, because studies show something completely different. So now there's a huge mandate, return back to the office. You're seeing this all over the news. More companies are forcing their employees to come back into the office. And granted, people have left their cities that they got the job from, moved to somewhere to Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota. These are some of the huge places that Utah. They initially got a job in New York and Chicago. They worked remotely for the past 2 or 3 years. They decided, you know what? Hey, I think this is going to be the rest of my life that I'm going to be working remotely. So hey, let's move to Wyoming. Let's move to Montana, not knowing that these same companies want you to come back into the office. So how can you go back into the office if you live in a whole completely different state? Saying goes, how can you go back into the office if you're working from a different country? So now you got to figure out, okay, do I stay with this company and go back to the office, or do I officially become a true remote worker and try to find opportunities which will allow me to stay wherever I'm at, or gives me the opportunity to travel more frequently? And that is coming to an end. I think it's slowly coming down because companies feel like they need you to be in the office. And we're going to talk about that today. That's something I want to talk about. Again, I've been doing remote work for the past 10 years, guys. I've been doing this for quite a while. I did the digital nomad before it became a thing, before it even became a word. All I knew that, hey, listen, I got my first contract. I had an opportunity to go overseas. I took it. I did a great job at it, to the point where I was getting multiple contracts. And I was blessed to work for some of these amazing companies, worked for some amazing teams. But also, too, I met a lot of people who were expats that were living very comfortably in these countries while making American dollars. So that's one thing, is like, it's a big difference if you have a low paying remote job versus you have a 6-figure, high hourly rate remote job. There's a whole different experience. I know a lot of people just say, hey, just go find a customer service job or a data entry job and go overseas. If that's the lifestyle you're trying to live, more power to you. But if you're trying to really make money, and you can by having a unique skill set, you could actually take your talent to these companies, pay them, charge them by the hour. If you decide to take more of a contract role, or you want to become a full-time equivalent employee, it is important that you specify, hey, listen, I do travel. I do like to work overseas. If they're okay with it, some companies will allow you to do that. But I think a lot of people try to be slick about it when they just simply get the laptop and disappear, not knowing that laptop has a tracking device. Guys, there's something called AfterTrack. It's installed in your laptop right now. You probably don't even know it, but it's installed in your laptop. This thing actually monitors all of your action on the computer. And typically what it does, it monitors how long you take breaks away from your computer, what you're doing on your computer. It takes screenshots. I think every hour or every 30 minutes, it's taking screenshots of what you're doing. And it's pushing it out to the cloud where your supervisor has full access to what you're doing. So you putting a tape on your camera stuff, it's not going to cut it anymore, because now they have a unique software that can literally track your entire movement of what you're doing. And the days of actually doing something like this is funny. You saw what he just did, right? And trust me, a lot of us have been guilty of it, but I've learned not to do that. I'm very mindful with my time. But again, guys, a lot of people have gotten caught doing this little tactic right here that this guy just did. thinking that, you know what, they won't know because I'm actually online. Guys, they're literally taking screenshot of your laptop. It doesn't matter where you are. They have asset tracking codes that could pinpoint where exactly the laptop is. So if you're trying to be slick, trying to like, hey, I'm about to go to, to another country and work remotely without them knowing, they're gonna know. They're gonna know. So the question today is the digital nomad life is over due to the remote work coming to an end, and more companies are demanding their top employees to come back into the office. So we're going to talk about that, but also too is just like, I want to hear your thoughts. Have any of you experienced working remotely? Do you have any desire to become a digital nomad? And if so, what are you doing to put yourself in that position? Like now I'm back to working remotely. I spent 1 year back into the office. It was not a pleasant experience. And again, I don't mind working in the office, but it's the people. And I realized that certain personality doesn't mix well with me in person. I could do so much, when I'm away, from a phone, but in person, I can only tolerate so much. So past year, I worked in an office. It was not a great experience, guys. I mean, literally, I will drive into the parking lot, sit in the car for a good 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, mentally preparing myself to get into the office. Then at the end of the day, I'm walking back towards my car, and I will purposely park further away. So I could just decompress while I'm walking back towards the car, guys. I was literally decompressing every day from the office towards my car. Then once I get to my car, I'll sit in my car, decompress some more before I start driving. And once I get to my house, I will decompress some more before I enter my home. That was the work environment that I was in. It was not a great environment, man. And it's just like, man, companies need to be mindful on the type of climate that they create for their employees. That wasn't for me. Yes, I was making good money, but the amount of stress, even with my wife seeing the stress on my face, how I felt, she felt like, hey, that's not the spot for you. And one thing I've learned about myself is that I actually excel in a very remote lifestyle. I'm a huge collaborator. I love collaborating with different teams. I love strategizing, but also too, I do like the comfort of working alone. And when you have someone who's insecure about their work capacity because you're constantly outshining them, but yet you report to that person, they can make your life a living hell. So sometimes you have to be mindful and you have to make a decision whether or not this is the right environment for you. Hence why you should always improve your skill set, guys. Guys, you can learn something new every single day. Sharpen your skills, pick up new skills. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, this job market is changing. The days of manual labor is slowly falling back. We're in the world of AI, automation. Now, granted, if you're a blue collar worker that want to get into the field of HVAC or plumbing or anything in that matter, those are great opportunities. They're still there. They're actually increasing. But if you're trying to get more into the white collar space, keep your skills on point. Try to learn as much as you can. If something draws your interest, learn it. For me, these past couple of years, I've been focusing a lot on AI. I'm really trying to understand how to leverage and how to make different use cases leveraging AI. So if I have that skill set, I can offer my skills to different companies as a consultant while working remotely, putting myself in a position where I could work overseas. But again, I think the digital nomad life is going to only goes towards the people who have specialized skill set where they don't need to come into the office. They're hired for a project-oriented task, which that he or she could do, and they will be able to actually get those contracts. So we're going to look at some videos. And again, I wanted to get your take on it, but also too, again, the back into the office, You expect more companies. I think right now over 40% of the companies across the US are forcing employees to come back into the office. And I believe about 30% of those companies are actually allowing some type of hybrid work mode where they can work remotely and go into the office maybe 2 or 3 times a week. But I think slowly but surely, more and more companies are going to actually push you to come back into the office. And again, there's nothing wrong coming back into the office if you can, but just understand that we've been spoiled in the past few years working remotely, given, having the autonomy for us to do the stuff that we wanted to do. But now these companies feel like, you know what, we need you back in office so we could actually look at you closely. Here's a take from this popular recruiter that gives the raw facts about what's going on, especially around remote work.
Do you want to know the real reason that CEOs are forcing their employees back to the office 5 days a week? A lot of people think it's to do with corporate real estate, and that's a factor, but there is a bigger underlying reason they want you back in the office. To understand this, we need to take a brief look at remote work history. Work from home became popular during the pandemic. Companies were literally forced into making a decision: shut down and not make any profits, or allow people who work on a laptop to work from home. Obviously, they chose the work from home option. But employees working from home realized a few things. Number one, work didn't need to be their number one priority. As long as they got their results, they could get other things in life done as well, like attending family events, going to the gym, prioritizing health and mental well-being. It was altogether a better deal for employees. Employees also realized that if most of their work is done on a laptop, they could be just as productive, if not more productive, working from home. CEOs, however, realize the same thing. And this is scary to them because if they are paying you 6 figures or above, they want work to dominate your life. And that's why they're forcing people back to the office, to get back control of employees. They realized it's a lot easier for work to be top of mind when you're in an office building than it is when you're working from home. That's why they're forcing people back to the office.
Yeah, so I totally agree with everything you just said. I think it's just more of a control. It just doesn't make any sense to force people back into the office when they were actually doing a lot more working remotely. If anything, the productivity of their employees were a lot greater, not less. So this whole thing about everyone needs to get back to the office so we could be more productive just doesn't make any sense when everyone was productive. But from a tech side, which my background is in tech, it kind of makes sense in some areas, because depending on what area in tech that you are in, you do have to collaborate, and there's a lot different. I mean, there is a difference when you actually collaborating with a different team on site versus you doing over a Zoom call. So one thing I did take away from working on site last year is that working closely with people that is part of your unit. When I mean unit, like you work with the product team, you work with the sales team, you work with the strategy team. They really give us an opportunity to come together and really jam things out versus doing things from a Zoom call. But still, does that impact the digital nomad life? Because again, when I speak of a digital nomad, I'm not speaking of a content creator. No, I'm speaking about someone who works for a company, someone who works for himself, that cater his services to these companies. I'm talking to the guy that is making over 6 figures plus as a remote worker, contractor. I think you'll still be able to actually work remotely, but you have to be mindful which company will allow you to do that. One gentleman I could speak about, shout out to Jay Clyde, is Jay Clyde. He's the gentleman whom I had the privilege to know during the pandemic, and he's in a perfect situation where he works for a company where they literally sold all their buildings and they have a permanent work from home. And before he decided to jet out and buy his penthouse in Colombia, shout out to Jay Clyde, he made sure that his boss was okay from him to work from another country. He got the approval. He went out, bought his penthouse in Medellin, now living a good life, making American dollars, living in Colombia. And again, guys, I know several guys who do the same exact thing. I mean, that has the same opportunity as Jay Clyde, that lives in Brazil, that lives in Costa Rica, that lives in Belize, that lives in Colombia, that lives in DR. These are people that I personally know that are still working remotely because they have a unique skill set, the very demanding skill set to work remotely as a digital nomad. And I think you could actually put yourself in a position to do that. You just got to make sure that you have the right skill. You can't just be a data entry person. You cannot just be a customer service rep. Yeah, those jobs you could be easily replaced. And now with AI and automation, a lot of these jobs will probably be, terminated within the next 5 years. Here's another video I want to highlight. Now, what I'm going to show you is the top careers to get into within the next 5 years. Some of these careers are literally fading away into the sunset. It's important that, hey, if you're a young man and you want to get into the into the tech space, be mindful that not everything in tech is technical. There's a lot of soft skills that you could actually do within tech. I think when people think of tech, they just think of software development. But there's other areas within tech where you could actually make money, such as a project manager. This is where you get your PMP. Product manager. This is where you manage the product. Sales, guys. There's a lot of sales opportunities in tech. People don't know about it. I have friends who are making $300,000 a year in sales within tech, and working remotely. They work remotely. So again, when you think of tech, don't just strictly think about the technical side of things. There's a lot of soft side skills that you could use where it could give you the position to work remotely for some of these big companies that definitely will probably need your skill set. Here's an interesting video.
So this is the Future of Jobs report that just came out, and it details just how much the global economy is going to change by 2030. And I wanted to show you how to best prepare for this massive change that's about to come. So let's take a look at some of the key findings and trends. So the first is 41% of employers across the globe have plans to replace you with AI. In fact, 92 million jobs are expected to be displaced. But this is the cycle of innovation. 170 million new jobs will be created. So what do you do to future-proof yourself? Well, the report lists the fastest and largest growing jobs by 2030 and the fastest and largest declining jobs by 2030. So really the name of the game here is to upskill. These are going to be the most in-demand skills by 2030. Most of these things I talk about nonstop on this channel, so you might want to tune in. And this is important because 59% of you will require upskilling by 2030 if you want to remain competitive. Now, this is a 290-page report. It goes into great macroeconomic and geopolitical detail, but the major theme is that rapid technological advancement is going to have a massive impact. Again, the next 5 years, we're going to see extraordinary change. So I implore you, again, to take a look at this list of skills and get serious about them, because continuous learning and adaptability is going to be critical.
Yeah, guys. So like I said earlier, I think as a digital nomad, you need to come back home. If you're somewhere in another country, I'm hoping that you're actually retooling and reskilling yourselves, because again, this is what's going to keep you in the job market. Everything the guy just mentioned is true. For me, right over here is my master's degree. I earned my master's degree back in 2006. Got an MBA. And at the time, I was very proud of it. I mean, it was like, man, damn, I'm 28 years old. I got my master's degree. Whoever thought someone from Miami projects earning his master's degree? But what really gave me the opportunity to shine was not the master's degree. 2008, I had the opportunity to get my PMP certification, my project management practice certification. And I was able to get it paid for by the city of Chicago. At the time, 2008, I lost my job. So I went to the unemployment office, just doing my routine, get my unemployment checks and everything else. And this young lady was just telling me about this program that they have where they give people an opportunity to pick up a new certification. And I was curious to know more about it. So I decided to sign up for it. I ended up getting about $8,000 in scholarship money that I could use towards any company that would accept it. So, and one of the things that I saw was project management. Now, granted, I worked with project managers in the past, so this gave me an opportunity. Like, I had a general idea as far as what is a project manager is, And so I decided, you know what? Hey, I got time. I'm unemployed. My master's degree is not helping me land a job. So let me go ahead and get this project management certification. I did it for 3 months, got my project management certification. And once I got it, that's when the doors started flying. Guys, literally by me having my project management certification on my resume, and I was able to speak on the principles of project management, I was landing a lot of opportunities. And that actually solidified my direction within tech. And I never looked back. So 2008 and beyond, I've always been in tech, because getting this project management certification gave me an opportunity to get into the tech space, but also too, having a marketing background and continue to increase my skill set within this arena, just put me in the best position possible. And hence 2010 got my first remote job. And my first remote job, guys, was Dell. Yes, my first remote job was Dell. My second remote job was Verizon. So again, picking certain certifications within the tech space will put you in a position where you could actually create new opportunities for yourself. And this one video actually talks about that as well. And again, I think it's important if you really want to solidify your space, your niche within tech or within whatever it is, which will allow you to work remotely and put you in a position where you can live overseas while working remotely. Look into these fields, man. They're very promising right now. And here's one that actually talks about it.
Here's the top 5 no-coding jobs for 2025 that break 100K. First, IT project managers. They manage IT projects and they pay big bucks. And a popular certification for this role is the PMP IT certification. Number 2, cybersecurity engineering. This is one of the hottest fields right now in IT. In fact, over 450,000 open jobs. You can check the heat map here on cyberseek.org. 3, data centers are popping all over the world. High school diploma, only requirement with a couple IT certifications and your foot is in the door. Which one? The CompTIA Network Plus is a great one to start with. 4, cloud engineering. If it's cloud engineering inside of a cloud container, then you're doing some infrastructure inside the cloud. That's cloud engineering. Or if you're doing DevOps automation for, let's say, scaling e-commerce stores, for example, that's more DevOps automation or scaling some type of application for more user growth. Number 5 is the network engineer. This is the engineering field that I've decided to choose when I broke into IT. Why? Because it's the backbone of the internet. It's the backbone of all infrastructure. The network guys are what making everything talk to each other on the network. And this is a great gateway to actually any of these other IT jobs. Follow for more tips on how to level up in these lucrative 100K jobs.
Yeah, guys. Again, I have friends who are within these fields making a killing. I had one gentleman that I know during the pandemic. He had 2 contracts, and each of those contracts was of over $100 an hour. So he was making over $200 an hour on 2 contracts, working remotely. Imagine the amount of money he was saving just living in. He was in DR, Santo Domingo. Shout out to Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. He was living out there, working 2 high-paying contract jobs, paying less than $300 a month for rent. He sold his car, he sold his property. He basically just got up and left, and he took those skill sets with him. And he's doing quite well for himself. So again, guys, going back to the topic, is the digital nomad life is over. I think it's over for a lot of people that don't have the right skills to continue to make that type of income. Guys, one thing I want to make it known to everybody, traveling around the world is expensive. It is a huge expense, even for content creators. That's why, they try to produce as much content as possible, because it does get costly. Buying tickets, hotels, Airbnbs, food, clothes, all that stuff adds up. And if you're solely relying on your content to support this lifestyle, you better have over 500,000 subscribers. You're getting tons of donations and everything else. But if you're just a new content creator trying to be a content creator while traveling, you're gonna lose a lot of money. I'm just being honest with you. The best thing for you is to put yourself in a position where you have a unique skill set that is very high demanding, gives you the opportunity to work remotely, but also too, they're okay for you to be working overseas. So again, the digital nomad life will be limited to a lot of people, and then with the mandate to go back into the office, a lot of people will have to head back into the office or find another job, because I think a lot of companies are using this whole back into the office mandate as a way to like get rid of some people, because they know for a fact that I'm not going to leave Utah to move back to Chicago, or I'm not going to leave Miami to go move back to California. So these are some of the things that companies know that, so they'll be cutting a lot of their staff. But again, some companies do favor the remote lifestyle. I mean, honestly, if you go to LinkedIn or Indeed or some of the other job sites, there's still a lot of jobs that still pushing for remote work. But I'm seeing less of those. I'm seeing more of the hybrids where they want you to come into the office 2 or 3 times a week. And also too, a lot of these companies are now, because I was doing some interviews, they want you to live within the state or the city limits. Like they will ask you, where are you? Like they want to know if you're in Atlanta or the Atlanta surrounding areas, because they may want you to come into the office, and it shouldn't be an issue. They don't want you to live in Savannah and the office in Atlanta, and they want you to come to the office 3 times a week. I don't think that's doable for anyone to do that, but it's a game. It's a game. So, there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now, but I think the digital nomad life will be limited to a lot of people. And if you're trying to make money, like real money, 6 figures more, 6-figure plus, getting these type of contracts with these top companies that are still creating a lot of innovation, you have to go back into the office. And but I could be wrong. I mean, guys, this is my opinion of things. This is based on what I'm seeing in the marketplace. But I think the digital nomad life is coming to an end for a lot of people. And for anyone that's just solely focused on content creation as their way to make an income, that's going to be really, really a lot harder, because guys, everyone is creating content. Even within the content space, myself in it, is saturated. But I love doing this, man. Honestly, I've gotten better in presenting and being in front of the camera. I remember the first time I was in front of the camera, I couldn't even look at the camera. I had to keep my head down and everything else. But now I'm so comfortable being in front of the camera. I know when to project my voice. And it's very useful when I do presentations, because my job does require that I do meetings, I have to facilitate and everything else. So, doing these live streams actually helped me. I picked up a new skill set. Doing these live streams gave me a whole new skill set that I never had before. Creating content, editing, formatting. Never had those skill sets. I learned that just being a YouTuber. So, is the digital nomad life is over? I don't think so, but I think you just got to do something that's going to separate yourself from everybody else. Here's another video I wanted to share with you guys.
Okay, this is so dumb. He acts like you can live in Colombia and make $90,000 a year. The crazy thing is you can. No, I'm not trying to hate, because I fully didn't understand the rules and how to set up your life like this until about 5 years ago. And I just wish someone told me sooner. So that's why I'm out here trying to educate. There are so many jobs out there where you just work from your laptop. You can take one of those jobs and travel the world where the US dollar goes very, very far. It's called being a digital nomad, and countries are actually coming out with digital nomad specific visas to help people like us stay there longer. A lot of people don't know the tax laws, especially managers preventing people from doing this. They think it's super complicated. You got to do all this tax stuff when in reality it's all BS. It's extremely easy to work from a US company and travel the world. They literally have to do nothing different. If you don't overstay your visa, you're fine. If you want to learn more, follow me. I got good shit.
Well, I mean, I agree and I disagree. I think this video is quite old. A lot has changed since then. You know, as I said before, top of the hour, a lot of companies are now tracking their laptops. So you can't just get your laptop and just go to another country. People are losing their jobs when they do that. So just be mindful when people say those things, because again, a lot has changed since the pandemic, and a lot of companies are taking proper steps to monitor you while while you're at home or overseas. So just be mindful of that. Just again, there's a lot of people selling dreams, selling the fantasy that you could just get up and go. No, you can't. You can't do that, especially with company assets. They will follow you. They'll call you back into the office, then you will get fired. It would happen because I've seen that happen several times with people that I know. Okay, there's some comments. We're hearing a lot about cybersecurity. Dr. Umar. Can I pivot as a 50-year-old man to work abroad? Yeah, you can. I think, someone like yourself, you probably have a unique skill set and experience that could put you in a position to work overseas. I think if you position yourself as a consultant, that works really well. They assume that they're paying for your knowledge, they're paying for your experience. So by simply position yourself as a consultant, goes a long way, especially at your age. That's one thing. You don't want to come in as a junior, but if you're new in tech, you just have to start from the ground up. Dr. Umar again. I'm thinking about getting my MBA. I got mine back in 2006. I got my MBA back in 2006. Of course, 2008. Everyone knows what happened. The market crash, the housing. It was so bad in 2008, where I couldn't even find a job, and I had a master's degree. So I'll keep it a buck with you guys. I was so desperate for work at the time. I worked at a hat store while I was doing my project management certification. So yeah, a man that had his degree, everything, working at a hat store, I was getting paid $10 an hour. This is 2008, 2009, and no, this is 2008, and I decided I had nothing to lose. Let me go get this project management certification. And once I got it, passed the test, man, everything opened up for me. And so sometimes, guys, if you want to make a change, put yourself in the position to do that, because there are opportunities out there. Oh, there you go again. And then get my project manager certification. Yeah, that's what I did, Dr. Umar. I actually got my MBA 2006, and I got my project manager certification 2008. So now I got both, and I'm happy. As a black man, we're always thrown to the wolves that we don't amount to anything, we don't do anything. But for me to say, I got my MBA degree, I got my PMP certification. I've been able to work for some of these largest companies, as Dell, Verizon, Deloitte. I mean, just to name a few, Bacardi, Allstate. I mean, these are companies that I worked for in the past. This is a blessing in the sky, because again, being where I'm from in Miami, I'm from the projects, man. Like right near Overtown, and I'm not supposed to be here. It's just based on the stats and things that I was around. My next door neighbor was a prostitute. To coming from that environment to traveling the world, whole different experience. And I think if you put yourself in a position where you could really learn the stuff that you want to learn, I think it'll open a lot of doors for you. I never thought that I'd be working remotely, living in DR, going to Colombia, working out of Brazil, working out of Thailand, making money, traveling the world. Whoever thought? And I think you could actually do the same thing if you put yourself in a position to do that. Now that I'm married, I have a son, things have pivoted for me. So now my focus is a whole lot different. But having the opportunity to work from home now, at my age, I'm very appreciative. My younger days, I wasn't, I was taking advantage of a lot of the opportunities, but now I really enjoy working from home. I love the fact that I can see my kids more, spend time with them. I can help around the house, and I'm able to work in my own little office. This is my little space here. It's better than working in a cubicle. So, so yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of people. Um, Guys, the world is changing fast. And if you're thinking about, if you're still in the workspace within the next 10, 20 years, put yourself in a position to learn these high demanding skill sets because it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for a lot of people. And now with the H1B visa, I think that's seen to be a very hot topic now where they're bringing in Indians from India to work some of these tech jobs. I dealt with that in the past as well. That's a whole different topic by itself. But I think it's important as American people that we need to stop being lazy and focus on getting these certain skill sets because again, the world is changing and it's changing fast and we're becoming global. Actually, we are global. Companies will go overseas and find the best talent to work for their companies. And you want to make sure that you're one of those best talent unless you have your own business. So that's it for me. You know, I didn't want this live stream to go any further than this. Just wanted to talk about this hot topic because I'm very knowledgeable about this topic. I'm not saying that, I'm a content creator or a digital nomad. No, I actually lived it. I lived it for more than 10 years and it was an amazing experience. Even now I'm learning new skill sets. I'm learning AI. I'm just trying to put myself in the best position to win. And there's a lot of money out here, guys, a lot. And if you have a certain skill set, you'll be all right to travel the world and do this thing and do the things you want to do. But at the end of the day, you really got to put yourself in a position to pick up these new skill sets, willing to learn these new skill sets and apply it. So just wanted to say thank you guys. This is a Wednesday night podcast. This Friday we have Lions Den with my fellow colleagues, Fearless and Roland. So it will be an interesting, fun topic. But today, man, I wanted to talk about something more serious about, putting yourself in a position to win. I think, I'm not going to say I think. I know if you don't have the right skill sets, man, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. And we as Americans need to learn these skill sets because the world is moving towards that direction. Look into STEM, guys, science, technology, engineering, and mechanics, and I'm reading these reports. A lot of these jobs that we have now will probably be non-existing in 10 years. So if you have any kids, direct your kids to these fields, man. Like my son, who is 13 years old now, he's been doing coding for the past 5 years. Now he wants to get into graphic designing. So I'm keeping him within the STEM area. So by the time he's 18 years old, he'll be comfortable within the tech space because he's been around different areas. And now this summer, I'm planning to put him into an AI camp. Again, just trying to give him as much exposure as possible. Granted, guys, these camps are not cheap. They're not cheap, man. But at the same time, I think I had my fill of traveling the world, doing the things I wanted to do. And it's just time for me to put him and now my youngest son in the right position. So, yeah, man. Yeah, so that's it, man. I think I had another video to share with you. And again, guys, this is not a hot topic. This is not, this topic doesn't focus around women, doesn't focus on beefing, fighting overseas, relationship. These are things that within the travel space, we love to talk about. But a small percentage of us are actually doing what we say that we're doing. So be mindful on who you're following, be mindful what people say within this space, because a lot of people don't really understand what they're doing. And just be careful, man. You have people out here selling job remote People out here selling a damn list of remote jobs, man, and people are buying it. I'm like, wow. People are just doing a lot of dumb stuff because they see that a certain person has a lot of subscribers, so they're gonna believe them at random. You know, someone like myself who is small, and again, I have nothing to gain from this. You know, I've been called a hater and everything else, but again, all I'm doing is passing the torch. I'm passing the torch to the next generation because that's what the OGs done to me. They sat me down, put me on game, and I was able to run with it. So now I'm doing the same for the next generation. And you guys, um, I was able to live that digital nomad life, making great money, staying in amazing villas, apartments, South Africa, man. I mean, London. I mean, bro, I could just sit back and think about it, and I was making good money working remotely, traveling to different countries. But them days are over for me when it comes to that. But I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of people, for you to experience. So look into the, certain skill sets. If you're still young, look into that. If you're about to retire, don't listen to what I have to say. You're pretty much at the finish line. But yeah, it's a real topic, man. And again, it's not a fun topic you want to talk about, but if you want to put yourself in a position to win within the tech space, one thing, guys, be mindful of these tech camps that are now popping all over the place. These camps that promise you that they're going to find you the job after you pay $20,000 to take their course. Do your research. Do your research, man. Wow. Mark Nasty said he has 2 remote positions on pace to retire. Awesome, man. That's amazing. That's amazing. 2 remote positions on pace to retire. Yeah, I had friends that were doing that, man, and they made a lot of money to the point where, they decided to not work for a year. They could actually do that. The East Indian been running Silicon Valley for the past 15 years. And again, more kudos to them. Honestly, I've worked with several of them, and they're very smart people, very knowledgeable, and really, they're not doing anything that's different that sets them apart from the Americans. They're just willing to work. And I think we as Americans, we got comfortable. We got extremely comfortable to the point where now companies are not taking us serious. And now where they want to explore other options. So again, you could do the same job that they're doing, but the question is, do you have that skill set? Let me drop some game for you. All right, I'm gonna drop the line if you guys want to join in for the conversation. Guys, I had over 25 people watching the live stream, man. Please take the minute to like the video, man. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and support the channel. But again, a big like is enough for me. But, I was quite surprised. I had close to 30 people watching, man. Thank you. Yeah, man. Again, this is not a fun topic. This is not about women. This is not about all the foolishness that's been happening overseas. No, this is what's going to help you put yourself in a position to win financially, and where you can continue to do the things overseas that you want to do. Big Mike, my company went fully remote after pandemic. They allowed me to work internationally, so I'm overseas now at work and working. Yeah, guys, we have a lot of guys that are in a great position where they could do that. But not a lot of companies doing that. And now when you have companies such as Amazon, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Meta, where they are forcing these mandates on their employees to come back into the office, yeah, you're not going to have that luxury. So if you have that opportunity to work overseas while getting paid American dollars, definitely do it, man. Hey, what's going on, man?
Good.
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. What you think of the topic?
Great topic. Great topic. Me and you talked about this before over the last year or two. I've been thinking about, living abroad. And even though I've been, taking a few IT classes, I'm an educator by trade. And so one of the reasons I decided to kind of shift a little bit to IT, even though I still currently work in the education field, is that it's not a high paying field, teaching English online or teaching abroad unless you're in the Middle East or maybe in Asia. And so, I agree with you. I think a lot of the tech jobs are slowly slipping away. They're transitioning to a new era. And just from my studies, I'm seeing that even in the cybersecurity space, a lot of companies are bringing these guys in either on a hybrid schedule where they come in or they live within a radius of the company or building. Maybe they live in the same state or same
Correct.
city. And so people have to realize when they go into these new fields that you may not get a fully remote job like you're expecting, So,
No, and you're right. And a lot of companies do want you to come back to the office. It's simply for to create this collaborative environment. That seems to be the hot word now within the workspace. Everyone collaborating. So companies want to see that. They want to, there's a lot of innovation that's happening across these big tech companies, cybersecurity companies, and they want to be in the forefront. And the only way they could do that is to bring everyone together. And that's why you're starting to see all these different hubs across the country where people could come in and work and get some job and get the job done. Some companies are actually adding additional incentives for them to come back to the office. I mean, I think even one company has said that if you decide to work from home, there is no promotion for you. So these are things that I'm constantly hearing out there in the market. So just be mindful. But within the tech space, the days of just thinking they're gonna get a laptop and go overseas and just live an amazing, fun life, I think them days are pretty over, unless you're in a position to do that.
right, absolutely. And so, I know some guys that live and work, abroad in Asia.
Yeah.
I had a friend that worked for a company. I want to say H&R Block. He did like either a tech job. He was telling me that one thing you do have to keep in mind is depending on that schedule. Now you got to realize living in Cambodia, Thailand, and over in Southeast Asia, that's like a 12-hour difference.
Yeah.
So you may have to work at midnight to meet the needs of being at a conference in midday in the United States or on the East Coast. So you have to keep that in mind. For me, right now, just kind of being within that Western hemisphere of maybe working or living within Colombia, Brazil, will work well for me. But being 12 hours ahead or back, that will be a bit of a challenge for me. That means
Yeah.
I will have to be active during hours that regular other people may be sleeping.
Correct. I actually and I know someone who actually did that. He was working out of Thailand, and he was working on the complete different time zone, like 10 hour difference.
Right.
So during the day, what is it? He's working at night while is our morning or day. So his sleeping was off. He was sleeping during the day and working at night.
Mhm.
So he did it for about 2 months, and he decided to come back to the States. He couldn't handle it because it was just too much for him to do. So be mindful, guys. If you decide to work overseas, pick a country that's kind of within the Western Hemisphere. If you're going somewhere in the East, it's going to be a lot difficult because you're going to work some odd hours. But again, when I done those things, I made sure I was somewhere in the West Hemisphere, like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours ahead, and that's it. So,
Right.
what are your take on this whole mandate for everyone to come back into the office? And do you think that the digital nomad life is over? Do you think it's officially over? Your opinion?
So I think it's I don't know if it's officially over. Like you said, it depends on your skill set, on the type of job profession that you do. I think for most digital nomads, they will have to eventually come back into the office. So I think that, like you said, just transitioning your skills or your skill set to be something that a company needs, and you have that negotiation power to where you can stay at home or you can work as a digital nomad. Just from my studies in cybersecurity, there are still some tech jobs you can be a digital nomad, but they're slowly slipping away because, as you mentioned before, they're tracking your laptop, they're tracking the equipment, your vector or your I guess digital footprint is greater the further you away from the building, the further you're away from the company. And so if you're in a foreign country, right, in a foreign entity, now they have to not only track that equipment, but they have to make sure that you're not uploading or downloading any viruses to their server. So,
Facts.
so you have to be careful about that. And so, from a cyber security standpoint, within even the district that I work for, they do have some cyber security guys that work from home, but they're within the city. They're
Yeah.
not abroad. And so, I can still stay in my field and probably teach English online, but that's not a high paying job. Now, if I plan for that, make sure I pay all my bills and I have a lower means of living, or, I can take in less income, that's certainly doable. But if you want to make a 6-figure income, then you're going to have to pivot and transition to a field that's that allow you to be able to command that type of money. So
I agree. So what are your thoughts when you see social media on TikTok, YouTube, when people are constantly saying that you can make 6 figures while working overseas? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I always think you got to be careful. You have to scrutinize and criticize the sources that you're getting it from, even whether it's YouTube, TikTok, whatever. A lot of these guys and even some of these women are, either selling content or they're doing things for likes and subscribers. And like you said, maybe the information was relevant a few years ago, but it's outdated now. You know what I'm saying? So if it's, and yourself just in the tech field, every 3 or 4 years, things get outdated, whether it's equipment, whether it's technology, whether it's a trend, things become outdated. And so the information that people may have given you during the pandemic 4 or 5 years ago may not be relevant now. So I think a lot of times people make these videos and, it's not really relevant. It depends on what your needs are and what you're going after. For certain fields, it may be relevant, but for majority of digital nomads, they may have to transition. Because my buddy, like I said, he ended up losing his job because they wanted, I think last year in 2024, for him to come back into the office. And he didn't want that. And so they actually had to kind of pink slip him, because he didn't want to come back to the States in the office.
Yeah. And I mean, everything you just said is on point. It's I've seen people lose their job and they didn't want to come back to the office. They didn't want to come back to the States. So they end up losing their job. And again, guys, when you're making 6 figures, not a lot of people can make 6 figures, man. As much people like to throw that word around, I'm a 6-figure man, whatever. Man, this is only probably less than 2% of the population that's actually making 6 figures. It's probably less than that. But if you have a well-paying job that gives you the opportunity to work remote, don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up, man. Because again, you could always take time off and go overseas and party. But now if you're in a position where that company allows you to go overseas while working remotely, that's winning.
Right.
That's winning.
And can I mention something really briefly?
Sure.
It's not in regards to becoming a digital nomad. So for me, being an English teacher or being just a K through 12 educator, one thing I've noticed teachers that have pivoted and going over to China or going over to the UAE, and they may make 50, 60, 70K, which is not 6 figures, but then they get all expenses paid for. They may get flights paid for. They may have free living expenses. And so could that be equated to a low 6-figure salary in the States where you have to pay for all those things yourself? For me, being an educator, I could go to Doha. I just recently came back from Qatar. I can go teach in Kuwait, but it may not give me the mobility because I may have to work for an international school where it's just like I'm working in the States, but in a foreign environment. And so there's different options. Like you said, you may not be a digital nomad, but maybe you can work for a foreign company and live in that country. You won't have the flexibility from working from home, but you may have a different experience of living abroad and working. So that's just an option.
And Mark Nasty, your name, man, it's funny. I'll bring it up, but sorry, I'll bring you up. Just 1 second. I just pull up the number from ChatGPT. What is the percentage of Americans that are making over 6 figures? It's only 18% of the population make 6 figures. And within the 18% of the population, 26.9% of them are Asians, 18% are white household, and 6% black adults, black folks. 6% out of that. So guys, that shows that a lot of us are not really making this money that we claim to make. But also too, if you are, be blessed, man, because a lot of people will love to be in your position. Mark Nasty, what are your thoughts? You're on mute.
Right.
Are you,
Yep.
Hey, are you there?
I'm here. No, I was saying it all starts with how serious you are in living this lifestyle. So I've been a digital nomad for over a decade going on in all shapes and forms. And right now I'm probably the truest of digital nomads. So my first job, I'm a director at a healthcare company, fully remote. I've never been in the office, and I've been with them for a couple of years now. My second job I just picked up, I have to travel once a quarter into the office, and I'm actually about to fly in next week for a two-day planning session. Fully reimbursed. They'll pay hotel, rental car, all that. Then I'm back out. Then I'm going to Brazil. I'm currently in Colombia right now.
Wow.
So, like I said, it all depends on how serious. Like I've done project management, Scrum Master, SPC certified, PMP certified, Scrum Master certified, Agile expert. So I can walk the talk, right? So I got over 50 certifications because I constantly level up. So I can command what I want. So right now, the biggest thing is if you're trying to get in IT, go to where the money is at. The money's at in product management right now. So if you know product management, you can command your salary. They're paying over $200,000 right now for product managers.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying? So it goes back to how serious are you about this lifestyle? What are you willing to commit? So not only that, my plan is now that I'm working 2 jobs, I'm also doing options trading on the side. So within the next year, hopefully by this time next year, I'm going to retire, and I'm going to take a year off, and I'm going to do me. I said I'm going to take a year off to get in the best shape of my life, and then, like I said, during that year, I'm going to either continue to option trade, and if that keeps going well, I'm going to just option trade, or I may decide to pivot to another area that I think is going to be well worth it, such as AI. Continue down the AI path. And go back into the work field. So right now, you know, I'm weighing my options, but I definitely know I'm definitely going to take a year off.
Okay. Yeah, man. Dude, it's amazing to see how people like yourself who have all these different certifications that have the experience because again, you have a lot of people, you know, giving out false information, thinking that it's so easy to, you know, land these type of contracts or remote opportunities and just leave. It's not that easy. You know, a lot of us been doing this for quite some time, and we understand how to maneuver within that space. So, guys, when you meet someone like, you know, Mark Nasty, you know, little spinner that wants to get into the space, talk to them, ask the right questions, man. I mean, for me, when I speak to like expats, digital nomads, I don't talk about women, man. I want to know, what are you doing? Like, how can I do it? Like, what new skill set that I should look into? So always take that into consideration. We got a couple other people in the chat. Dr. Umar, what's your thoughts on it, man?
You know, how I feel about it, the whole situation with digital nomad and traveling. As you can see, I'm in the gym right now, but I had to, you know, get in on this because I've traveled a lot. Right now, I haven't been traveling much, but I pretty much, whenever I would encounter like a person that is living overseas or is an expat, I would always find either they were about 3 situations. Either they were former military, which gave them, like, if they retired or they were discharged gratefully, basically gave them an income to where they can live overseas off of that military income. Or number 2, they were retired and had some type of 401k, some pension, or, you know, some type of government assistants. Or three, most of the individuals I would meet, basically, if they were younger, they were basically like, let's say, working any type of job, like mainly not a real job to where they can just leave like that, but like a job that gave them the ability to leave, like Uber or whatever, some type of job like that. They would save their money up, go abroad for like 4 or 5 or 6 months, and then go back. But I've rarely encountered an individual was actually working remotely, like an actual person that was like just strictly, yeah, I'm working for this corporation remotely, or and even if they said they did, like because I want to know, like, hey man, I'm interested in this because I travel and I want to make this permanent, but it was always very, very vague. Like they would say, oh well, I do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that. Yeah. Mostly the people that I like, if I met someone in their 30s, 20s that was like fit into none of those other categories, they were teaching English. And we know unless you go into like the top countries and teach English, you're not making much money doing that. So, like, I wanted to touch on another thing. Like maybe you can consider like if you work for an international company, like a global company. Like I went to Nigeria. I spent some time in Nigeria, and I think Chevron and Shell, they had like offices out there, and they had compounds where they had international people that that was like, okay, we're willing to go out there to Nigeria, and you would live on Chevron's compound that they bought, that they already had a bunch of houses on with private security, and you would just basically be working for Chevron in Nigeria. Like you considered that as a possible option?
Well, I mean, most companies will have a international division at a part like Deloitte. I did some time at Deloitte. Did 3 years at Deloitte, and they had offices everywhere. India. I mean, there was a Deloitte office in Dominican Republic. There's one in Colombia, Medellin. So, but I think most of these companies will probably prefer you to work within the United States, unless they send you to those countries. Now, if they send you to those countries, you're there for a reason. But ideally, they kind of prefer you to work within the United States, unless you're in a position like Mark Nasty, who could actually, offer his services remotely to these type of jobs.
I actually work for IBM, and IBM has a global presence, right? So if you're working with a international company and they do have like an international division, sometimes you can request to be placed in certain areas. I know a guy that requested, a white gentleman requested to work out in Asia, and he got approved. So he moved to, like, I think Singapore. I was working out in Singapore for some time. I also knew a Brazilian gentleman. He requested to move from Brazil to the United States to work with IBM. Also knew a Colombian gentleman who did the same. He just recently retired as well. So it's possible, right? Depending on your company and the size of the company and their international footprint. But like I said, those jobs are hard to come by, and those were very skilled individuals who could command such a position. So you have to, like I said, constantly level up. Like, this isn't like I'm gonna fall into a remote position, right? And just everything's good. You have to target positions and target areas and go after them and look for what are the companies asking, what are the certifications they're asking for, what is the experience they're asking for, and target and create a plan. Too many times I come into guys and say, oh, I would like to do what you do. Well, what's your plan, right? What are you targeting, right? Don't just think you're just going to find a remote position, because they are slowly moving away from them, right? So,
and hey, you know what, Mark Nasty and Dr. Umar, I have a question for both of you guys. T. Dot asks, when you move to a different country, will they lower your pay?
I can say for me, no. And I would say no because I take precautions so that they don't know I moved to another country, right? Okay. So it's all in how you set it up. So one, I have a traveling mailbox. So all my mail gets delivered to a location where they scan all my mail into my email.
Yeah.
So I have that set up. I also have multiple VPN set up. So I have a VPN tunnel directly into a relative's house. So my VPN or my IP address looks like I'm in the States. So no matter where I'm in the country, as long as I tunnel into that VPN, it always looks like I'm in the States. So I have multiple VPNs set up like that. So I have a fail safe for that. So in case, things happen, I have a kill switch as well on that VPN. So none of my information gets leaked out. So
Nice.
again, you have to know what you're doing and you have to ask, right?
I agree. Dr. Umar, your thoughts?
I have not. I'm not overseas. Like I've taught English overseas. I had a. I went ahead and got my TOEFL because it was a year that I was traveling a lot, and I was like, you know what? How about I make this full time? So when I decided to try to make it full time, I went to the school in Chicago. It was a very good program, like a 2-month program to get your TOEFL. That's teach English as a second language, and basically they prepare you, like they give you like actual people that are foreigners that you can teach, and basically it's free for them, but you're getting practice. So I went ahead and did that, and that same school, they also had an ability to help you find a job overseas. So what they did after I finished the program and got my TOEFL, I found an opportunity in Vietnam. So I went to Vietnam. Now, the problem that I ran into and why I'm not doing it now, because when I went to Vietnam, I was kind of nervous, like, man, because the contract was supposed to be a year, and I'm like, man, can I really stay here for a year? I've never been to Vietnam. So my first month there, I was like, I loved it. Like, man, I was like, man, this spot is not too bad. Like, it's modern. They gave me money for my own apartment. It was super cheap. Like, that's the cheapest place I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot of places, but it's even more cheaper than Thailand. So, and I ended up finding me a little girlfriend or whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I probably could finish this year contract. But what happened was, with certain countries like Vietnam, you have to bring your FBI background. So you have to do a fingerprint, and you have to bring it along with you. And the company sponsors you for your visa, because unless you have a sponsorship to a company, you can't get that visa. So I brought my background, and I'm thinking everything's cool. But I'm like, I don't have no felonies, I don't have no misdemeanors, but the way they work, because they don't understand the U.S. system and how it works, particularly for us brothers, often guilty just by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Every interaction that you have with a police officer, whether they detain you or if they arrest you for a little bit, whatever, and let's say they let you go, no charges, but that creates a arrest record. So on my record, yeah, I had a few instances where I was detained by the police, whether it was like I didn't have my license or tail light, or they thought I was in talk, whatever, what I'm saying. So minor shit, but they saw when they were looking at that, I was there for like a month or two, and I guess one of the guys in the administration office, he was looking at it, and he's like, hey, this guy, he got some things. So they called me into the office. Like I had been there for 2 months, and they was like, hey, we looked at your record, and there's some things on there. We have to end this contract. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't have no felonies. I don't have no misdemeanors. It's clean. In the United States, I can get any job. I can work for the FBI. But those arrest records, that's what get pulled with the FBI, especially if you're working for a school. I'm not talking about if you're doing this on the side, but if you're working for an actual school, because I was actually contracted with a school. They was like, we sorry, but we have to let you go, and that basically brought me back to the States. Okay. But now my situation, not to draw it on too long, but my situation now is I have a foreign spouse, and it's like we're we're trying to debate whether we want to be here or be there, you know, and we're legally married. So I'm like, okay, because she's homesick. I mean, I'm not, you know, she's missing her family and everything. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to, you know, I want to make it, you know, good for her, but for it works out for both of us. So I'm like, okay, what if I go live in her country, I don't have to worry about nothing. Like she already has a family house and everything. But do I really just want to be laid up in a house and I ain't making no money? So I'm like, okay, let me try to see, you know, skill up, like the brother's saying, skill up. What can I do? What careers can I explore? So maybe I could just work for a company out there in her country, or an international, you know, some type of international corporation. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay. Hey, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Past Life Passport. Thank you for the super chat for $2. Really appreciate it, guys. Guys, make sure to like the live stream, man. This is a great topic, and you know, we got a lot of veterans in here that's actually sharing how to live this lifestyle if you're trying to live it. Shout out to Buck Travels, man. How you doing, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, man, what's going on? Salute to the panel.
Doing good, man. What's going on? What's your take on the topic?
Yeah, man. So the thing is, man, this whole return to office thing, it's kind of like a quiet layoff. So they know when a lot of people come back to the office, they know a lot of people are going to quit. So it's kind of like a subliminal layoff thing. That's why a lot of companies like Amazon have started doing that shit. JP Morgan is doing that shit. There's a lot of other companies, but a lot of other companies are sticking with it because they found out that they're saving costs. And like I'm talking about like building costs. I'm talking about rent. So they rather have people work from home because they save a lot of costs in regards to that. In regards to the avenue of working overseas and all that, I mean, you just got to find an international company and, you know, be there for a couple of years and like just transfer. Like I know the brother said it earlier, like he works for IBM and, you know, he can work for somewhere else in the world. So you just got to find an international company and you can work wherever you want. They can send you where, or you could do like Deloitte, those big four consulting companies. They got offices all around the world.
Yeah.
So you can do it. So you can still, like I said, you just gotta find an international company that you can work with and, you know, request a transfer. But like I said, you just got to be there for a couple of years. I think you got to be a manager or above to do so. But the thing is, like, some companies that, I mean, depending on where you go, you might take a pay cut. So it's like, because like if you transfer to Costa Rica, they might pay you Costa Rican money. So are you willing to take that pay cut? I mean, some companies do it. Some companies do it. So not all.
I doubt it. I think if you have that certain skill set, they're going to pay for you. You just live in a different location. I have a question for Mark Nasty. GM says, how much do you pay for internet per month if you have multiple VPNs in different houses in the house? Different houses in the U.S. Can imagine you asking them to do it for free if you're making $200,000. Mark Nasty.
Relatives actually will do it for free.
Okay.
You know, it's all in how you position. All I'm doing is just tunneling in, leaving a router there, tunneling in. As far as internationally, usually the Airbnb I'm staying at, they have internet. So I just make sure the internet is a certain speed before I rent the Airbnb. And then I also have international travel routers that I may purchase, right? They have either a SIM card that I can purchase and get local Wi-Fi in case of a backup, or I can purchase an international Wi-Fi plan as well. And also they have the new, SIMs, the digital SIMs. So you can purchase digital SIM cards as well with plans on those as well. So there's multiple ways you can do it. Like I say, you just have to look around and find what is best for you. And in the off case that, you know, If my cousin wants some money for his internet, I give him $50 for it, $100. I don't, you know, I don't know. That's, they'll say you do what you got to do. Like that doesn't, $50, $100 wouldn't bother me. And I'm sure he'd be happy for it. But there's other ways I take care of him in that instance.
Yeah. I know a couple people ask about sales and tech. Guys, sales and tech is very lucrative. As I said before, I have friends who do sales and tech where they're making 200. One friend of mine made over $500,000 in 1 year selling to enterprise. And he was working remotely, and but he was one of the top salesperson on the team. A brother making about $500,000 a year. He always won the salesmanship award every year because he knew his stuff. He was doing enterprise sales. Average deals like over $1 million. So stuff like that, guys. Tech is not always all technical, man. It's a lot of soft components when it comes to that comes within the tech industry. I mean, there's project manager, product manager. There's system design, architect. That doesn't require a lot of tech side. It just it really depends on what areas you want to get into. But yeah, you could get into the sales side of tech and make a lot of money. I think the average salary for a salesperson in tech is at least $125 a year. That's the average. Now, if you're a top salesperson within tech, man, 200, 300, up to 500,000. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I also want to add, always have a side hustle. I'll always be looking out for a side hustle. Just because I work, 2 positions doesn't mean I'm not going to have something on the side, right? My thing is one job is too close to no jobs. So you better have a side hustle, which is why I got into options trading, right? So that's actually looking pretty lucrative right now. So you never know what's out there. So always, like I said, level up in your position, but always be reading. Always, excuse me. Always be reading. Always be looking for something extra, because you never know what those side hustles may lead to.
Yeah.
And also, if I can jump in, just to kind of reiterate what Mark Nasty was talking about, I think that most of the guys that I've seen, that I've come across, that successfully have become digital nomads, they have multiple streams of income. And so they may have a main hustle that's their meat and potatoes. And then they may, like you said, they may do stock options, they may do trading, they may teach online. They may have like 2, 3, 4 streams of income, because if your main source of income slows down or stop, you don't want to have immediately have to come back to the States. So it's just, like I said, it's positioning yourself to where you can get multiple streams of income.
I agree. I have a couple of projects that I do on the side as well. So all marketing related, content creation, where I do content creation for other companies. So again, this is just side income that I have. But yeah, Mark Nasty, everything he said was on point. T-Dot, I'm still trying to break into tech sales. How does your company health insurance work overseas if your employee don't know you're gone? Your health insurance in the States does not work overseas. It only applies to the States. So I highly recommend, if you're living overseas, you purchase their insurance or international insurance to cover any medical expenses. Mark, have you experienced any medical issues while living overseas, and how do you actually deal with that?
Yeah, I just had one. So I have a health insurance actually in Dominican Republic. So when I go out there, I still pay that, even though I'm not there. I think that's like $300 for a quarter or something like that, or like $250. So I have that out in the Dominican Republic. When I'm in Colombia, I actually pay out of pocket. So I just paid, I want to say about $800 out of pocket, and I got premium first class service. So went into the clinic, seen first, private nurse, private doctor, taken care of in and out within 2 hours, and they give the medicine up front, and they deliver extra medicine to the house. So when you're making money overseas and you can afford to pay up front, they will take care of you.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the medical costs overseas is a whole lot cheaper than the United States. So you can't go wrong in DR. Like I've done some dental work in DR where I could literally just pay at the counter and got amazing, excellent service. So yeah.
Same thing in Colombia. I regularly get my dental work done out in Colombia and just pay out of pocket because it's like $200. Literally $200 in healthcare costs in Colombia is worth several thousands of dollars in the United States. So it's kind of cheaper just to, when you're making the money, just go ahead and pay out of pocket and don't worry about it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that, man.
Get your veneers done over there. Cheaper.
I'm sorry?
So get your veneers done over there. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. I think honestly, any type of medical service that's not critical that requires you to come back to the United States, get it done overseas, man. They got the same specialists out there, and you'll pay a fraction of the cost. Well, guys.
I'll just add, just on top of that, prescription drugs, way cheaper.
Well, yeah.
So if you can afford to go overseas and get your prescriptions done, do it. Way cheaper. Pennies on the dollar.
Actually, I was in Mexico City last year, and my boy Bacchus, he had to get some medication for his family. Not Bacchus. My boy Glenn, he had to buy some medication for his dad, some high blood pressure medication. Dude, he paid a fraction of the cost of what he pays here. He literally load up on prescriptions, put it on his suitcase. I had to put some in my suitcase to bring it back home because I think there's a certain limit that you can only bring back. And yeah, man. But if you're overseas and you got the time, go check your teeth, go check your vision, go see the doctor, man. Because again, you'll pay a fraction of the cost compared to what you pay here. But guys, it's been over an hour and a half. It's past my bedtime, and I need to close this out. I'm gonna give you guys each 30 seconds to close it out. Give me your final say on the topic. Is the remote work, is it coming to an end? And the digital nomad life, is that officially over for everybody? So let's start off with Buck Travel. Okay, we lost you there. Let's start out with
anybody there?
Yeah. I'm here, man.
Yeah, man, guys, man. Just like I was saying, just apply, guys. Like I was looking at this consulting company right now. There's a big consulting company called Boston College.
Yeah,
and they got this Costa Rica project. Actually, you actually gonna move over there, and you're gonna do a research on how the ways you can save energy and all that. So I was looking into it, and it says like if you got a finance degree and you got a couple of years of experience, then you can apply for it. I was like, you see shit like that, people don't realize it's like as long as you're willing to make the move and all that, you go applying, you're researching and all that. I mean, you can find it. It's just at the end of the day, you also got to level up. You can't be in one area. You got to build the resume up. You got to build the skills up. You got to get that education, get that certification.
Yeah.
But I'll land my plane over there.
Okay. Dr. Umar, man, what's your final say?
I think it's dead. I think that when we're talking about the traditional sense of a digital nomad, what it means like to work remotely while you're still employed by an American company, I think that's dead. But I do believe, like the brother just said, like you can work for a global or international company. You just have to have very specialized skills, experience, and if you don't, you got to level up, and you'll just have to look for some international opportunities, and more than likely move to those international places, which is basically you'll just be living over there. So it's not really a digital nomad type of situation. So that's my thoughts. Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining the show, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you too, brother.
All right. Mark Nasty, what's your thought?
I think it's definitely going to slow down. You got a lot of factors coming in. Like I said, the mandates go back into office. Usually the big tech companies control whether or not what happens with that. You also got the influx of the H-1Bs they're trying to come in.
Yeah.
So you have to worry about that as well. So there's going to be definitely competition. So in terms of competition for the roles that are out there, you're going to have to level up, learn your skills, get on track with that. But you still have to put together your plan. If it's really what you something you want to do, put a plan together. Follow your plan. Stick to it. And it may not be overnight. It may take a couple of years to get to it, but that's what you want to do. You got to do it.
All right. Hey, Mark. Are you Marcus? I'm like listening to your goddamn voice. Man. I'm like, yo, this dude sound familiar. I'm like, then you said Colombian. I was like, oh, you bastard. How you been, man? God damn
I'm
man.
good, man. I'm good. Like I said, I'm Batman out here, so I'm good.
Yeah, yes, you are. You are, man. I'm like, you fooled me for a good hour, man. I didn't know who you were. I'm like, wait, this Marcus. All right, man. It was a pleasure, man.
No problem.
All right, Marcus. Mark Nasty. Excuse me. Past life passport. What are your thoughts on the topic, man? You just joined.
It's a really good topic. So, I think remote work is still there, but it's just very competitive now than it was before. Like I do work for a company remotely. I have been working for a couple companies since COVID remotely. But the thing is, everybody wants a remote job now. So disabled people want it. Stay-at-home mothers want it. Young people that want to travel the world want it. People that are watching YouTube videos on how to travel, they want it. Everybody wants it. So it's super competitive. So, but I want to give you guys motivation in a sense that, like, I was laid off last year, but I was able to find a remote job within 3 months. So I was laid off from a remote job that was 6 figures, but I replaced that in 3 months. Now that's really hard to do in this market, right? Because like finding a job is super hard, especially remote. But you can do it if you just outwork everybody, if you just apply more than everybody, if you have a really good LinkedIn presence, if you're on Reddit, if you're just keeping your eyes open, if you're turning over every page looking for opportunities, you can find it, and you can beat the competition. They are still out there. So that's with the corporate side. But what you also want to do is you also want to get into remote sales. So there's a lot of different remote sales, like tech sales, things like that. But what I recently started was life insurance sales. And you can work with a lot of different companies, but you want to work for a company that provides you leads. That way you don't have to buy leads. Now, the best thing about life insurance I like that other sales don't have is that life insurance pays you residuals. So if the person keeps their policy for longer than a year and they still have that policy, you can get paid on it for the lifetime of how long they have their policy. It's a small percentage, right? So you get the upfront commission and then you get residuals every year after that they keep their policy. So that's two. You want to have a remote sales, either it's in tech, life insurance, or you're selling packages for social media people. And then the third thing is you want to create your own brand. So it could be a YouTube channel, whatever, your own page, blog, whatever or your own little business that you're making money. So those are the three things. And then you want to have these three horses in the race. Then you want to funnel everything together in order to buy real estate, invest in stocks or whatever that's going to give you monthly residual income over the years. So what you want to do is whatever you're doing, you always want to build into residual income that's going to pay you monthly over the years, well into the later years. And you will get to a point where you don't need to rely on a company or anything like that to work remotely because you can have income coming in from these sources. But like, don't give up. Just work harder than other people are. You can find ways in these three avenues to get it, and then also have a home base in the United States, right? Don't just have something here. It could be an apartment or a house or townhouse, something that's yours, is fully in your name, that you can come back to and reset when you need to find new opportunities or network, check paperwork, check the mail. You want to do all these things, right? I've been all over the world too. Like I've been to Santo Domingo, Colombia, Mexico, Monterrey, all these cities everywhere, and I've worked remotely everywhere. And these are the things that I found. So that's my part.
It's funny you talked about your branding, and I think a lot of people don't really put a lot of effort in their branding, especially their digital footprint. Guys, be mindful what you say and do online. All that is tracked. And the thing is, people be a little careless with some of these live stream cussing, getting mad. I mean, granted, I've done it a few times, but I went back and deleted it. So once I sobered up, I made sure that I deleted it. But protect your brand. Like there are platforms out there where you could build your brand, like LinkedIn and Reddit and other similar platforms where you could become the thought leader within your space. Chime in a different conversation. Update your resume. Talk about provide solutions to a problem. Like for me, whenever I actually talk to a company, I'm trying to figure out what is the current problem that they're currently going through, and I try to provide a solution to that problem. be a solution provider, not just a doer. So just always keep that mindset. And similar to what Past Life Passport mentioned, try to have different skill sets where you could actually leverage a lot of your current skills to do different things. Thank you, Past Life.
Yeah, and so like people don't know that like if you're on LinkedIn, and I tried this, if you make posts and you make comments, it boosts you in the algorithm. So recruiters can find you, your name will pop up. They'll reach out to you for job opportunities. That's something that a lot of people are not doing. So it's there if you want it. If you really want it, the remote work is there.
And also too, guys, leverage ChatGPT, man. If you need help with your resume, throw that sucker into ChatGPT. Just be careful it's not too fluffy, because ChatGPT and some of these other AI copy platforms, they make the stuff too fluffy and flowery. And make sure your content is ATS approved, like your resume, because companies are throwing your resume into an ATS system, looking for certain keywords. What I do, and this is a tip for you guys, if you're looking for a job with a certain tech company or insurance company, take the job description, put it in ChatGPT or any AI platform, put your resume against it, and tell ChatGPT or tell the AI, hey, customize my resume based on my current skills towards this job description. Bam, you got a whole new resume. Just like that. And the thing is, if they throw your resume into the ATS system, it's called applicant tracking system, where they look for certain keywords. All those keywords that were highlighted within that job description is now on your resume. And that's how you get hit. And I've been doing this for quite a while because I used to work for the HR. I did HR tech for a while, so I know the tricks. So again, if someone looking for work, pull a company description, throw it into AI chat and AI platform, take your resume, throw it in there as well, have it merge it together. But again, make sure that it's realistic. Don't say that you sold over $10 million of products in 1 year. Like you should be able to speak on it. And AI would actually create a whole new resume for you based on that job description, but it's still aligned to what you've done in the past. But just make sure it's not fluffy and a bunch of BS that you've never done before.
I will add just one more thing while you were talking about that. The job market has opened up recently.
Yes,
a lot of companies were waiting for after the election, right? Because I was looking for a second job from the beginning of the year, from like January, and the job market totally dried up, especially on the tech side. It just totally dried up. But once the election happened, and like people just started, like they just waited, the floodgates open. So now recruiters are starting to reach back out, and a lot of people are starting to reach back out. So now is the time to strike if that's what you're looking for.
I agree. I totally agree, guys. And just be smart, man. Just understand that for every position that you apply for, you got to customize your resume for that position. You can't just send out a generic, one all be all resume. It doesn't work like that anymore, because they literally throwing your resume to ATS through a applicant tracking system, looking for certain keywords. If your resume does not trigger any keywords, you're not going to get that call.
And also, I think have like a really high sense of urgency. Just don't waste any days. I used to do that in the past, but work on even holidays. Because here's the thing: what I feel that ageism does come into effect in corporate for like once you hit 50s and up. Now, some people may say it may or may not, but I think when you're in your 30s, like I am, like you're kind of in that sweet zone for corporate. When you're in your 40s, you are too. But when you're in like your 50s, 60s, and you're applying for a senior business analyst versus someone in their 30s, I don't know. I think we have to get everything sorted out, get our income coming in, get our horses ready by the time we're getting older.
Yeah.
We're in our 50s. So don't push it off. Like have that urgency.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because I'm 46. I turned 47 in April. I think I'm starting to feel some type of ageism a little bit, because my pay rate is a lot higher than the average person. So sometimes they look at that. So make sure in your resume you kind of remove any year that you graduated college. Like I graduated with my master's back in 2006. I took that shit out. So there's no reference of the year that I graduated. But again, just keep yourself fresh. Again, physically continue to work on yourself, and dude, just try to keep yourself marketable. I mean, if you someone like Mark, Mark said he has 30 certifications. you got to keep yourself skilled up. There's no longer having one certification and that's it. Like, you got to constantly learn something new, especially now with all the AI and automation things that are coming in. Even insurance, like insurance is constantly changing. So you got to know all the rules and, you know, loopholes and everything else if you're trying to be an asset to somebody. But I need to close it out, man. Like I said, it's past my bedtime because I got to be up at 5 a.m. Past life, man. It's the first time on my show, man. I appreciate you jumping on, man. I really do, and thank you for the super chat too.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and you know, I said everything I wanted to say. I appreciate you.
All right, cool, man. I guess the last person is Glow Spinner, man. What's your final word?
I think I agree with most of everybody. I think I don't think digital nomad life is completely over. I think it's transitioning and evolving. I think for some situations it could be very well over, but I think if you continue to be a lifelong learner, you continue to level up, you continue to build your skill set and evolve, then perhaps there may be some jobs out there for you. But I think that if you stay complacent and as the field begins to transition away from being a digital nomad, you may be out of a job. So I think you just have to continue to evolve, continue to learn new skill sets, and continue to learn, like you said, add more certifications if you can.
Yeah, thank you, Globe Spinner.
Thanks.
All right, man. All right. Yeah, guys, thank you so much, man. It's been an hour and 48 minutes, man. Thank you. Great show. Really enjoyed it. Again, this is a serious topic, man. I think we need to have more of these conversations within the travel space. Again, we had a special guest, Mark Nasty, which I personally know, doing his thing in South America. This gentleman has been all around the world, man. I've seen his receipts. He's very impressive. I met him in person a couple of times. Very cool guy. And now just recently just met Past Life Passport. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Guys, the world is for the taking. If you want it, you got to put in work. You have to. And it's just like the days that you think that you could just grab a laptop and go overseas and live your best life is over. You got to have a certain skill set, a niche skill set. You got to provide a service and take chances, man. Invest in yourself and live your best life, man. I just wanted to say thank you. Happy soon to be Thursday. I'll be back on this Friday for the Lions Den podcast. I'll be on the show with Fearless and Roland, and it should be an interesting topic. But again, thank you so much for joining on the podcast today. And man, yeah, just want to see you guys win, man. I want to see each of you guys making six figures, living overseas, living your best life. You could do it because I did it. And again, I'm from the projects out of the city, out of Dade County, and I never thought I'd be this far. And it's like I still have a lot of growth to experience, man. I'm trying to get into Mark Nasty level. That's next level for me. But anyways, guys, you guys have an amazing, great night, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless, and man, let's go make this money, man. Easy.